maybe 200 to 300 actual users that would need the security awareness training. And we are, so you don't have anything in place right now, but you have used No before.
I have previously used Note before,
Okay.
and I going back to our previous conversation, I actually had a conversation with my counterpart from Town Park last week,
Oh
and
yeah.
Town Park is using Note before right now, and we'll get
Okay.
into more detail about this, but there is an opportunity um, coming up where we can merge our users and the Town Park users into a single platform.
Mhm.
Um, so that would definitely bring us past that 1001 price
Yeah.
point mark that we talked about. But
Okay.
that's we'll discuss that later on.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. No, thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely I want to discuss that because there's something interesting our platform might be able to help and accommodate with you. So once we get a little bit further in, I'd love to discuss that a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. And then we didn't really get into this last time, well, but is having used Note before in the past, was there anything that you wished it could do or anything that you loved? Like just any kind of feedback and we
Um,
can,
I mean, I like the simplicity of it. Setting up the campaigns wasn't too difficult. Um, the one thing, and I think I mentioned this last time. What I wish before had more of was a more robust campaign options and more customization options because I felt like, and the last time I used it before was probably like 3 years ago. I felt like a lot of the campaigns that they offered, the templates especially, they didn't exactly um, relate with a lot of our local users here in Hawaii. There might be a lot of mainland type fishing campaigns where, we don't deal with certain companies or things like that. So I really wanted more customization, which would allow me to make it so that it looks more like it's truly targeting our users here rather than, hey, you know what? I see this, I can already tell this is not for me. So I'm not going to even bother looking further.
Right.
yeah, we talked about a little bit, Doug, on that where, there where Will can customize and create his own content and maybe throw in utilizing, some local vendors,
Yeah.
that kind of try to fool his users,
You hit the
versus
nail on it.
something,
Yeah.
yeah,
You hit the nail
and
on the head when you said it, Will, when you said like that they're just gonna move on. This isn't for me if it doesn't relate. Like if I'm seeing
Yeah.
Tim Hortons and there's a Dunkin' Donuts next to my house, that's not making sense for
Yeah.
me. So, and we used to have that fish, and that got into a war with users. Believe it or not, there's a Tim Hortons and a Dunkin' Donuts, and there's a competition to see who failed it the most. But so yeah,
um,
go ahead.
one quick question. This came up with another customer the other day. He's on Google and he's using No before right now.
Okay.
And Doug, you and I had talked about this, but when he does use this phishing campaigns right now, he has to set it up to where there's an extra step he has to do so Google's spam filter doesn't catch
Mhm.
all of his all the phishing email campaign
Okay.
templates. So I know that's something that we bypass that so that he wouldn't have that manual step, and I just wasn't sure if Will had issues with that in the past or come up against it at all.
We talked about a little bit about this too, like with no before, I think I had to add maybe like a line of text into the header,
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, right, to kind of filter it out from the spam filters. But um, the last time I think I tried maybe a few years ago on Google Workspace platform, but Google is actually really good with catching external emails,
They
and
are.
it would flag like even if you did all the steps, a lot of times it would still catch it and come up with the this is an external email.
Mhm.
So if well or actually or sometimes you want that message also because you want it to look like it's coming from external
Mhm.
emails, right? So there's that, how do you find a good medium where you want certain flags to appear, but you want other flags to not appear?
Yeah.
That's another concern as well.
Yeah, sometimes not having a flag should be a red flag for your users. Like having,
Exactly.
yeah. So there's a fine line on that one, and yeah, I can definitely walk you through that too. And one of the features that we do have on this is you can do the exact same thing, where you can safe list and make sure that it goes through, but sometimes Google's going to flag that. So what we also can do is do direct injection with Google, where we just directly inject that email into your user's inbox. So that way you don't get any false positives, and then we can kind of simulate showing some of those flags to your user and things.
Okay. So it doesn't actually go through the send process.
Correct. Yeah. It's going to be sent via API, and I'll show you that once we get a tool how easy it is.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, what's really nice
Right.
about it is the one that really like you said, the deceptive be warning that might be a deceptive fish or something like that warning is really good. But the one that stings most of our users that safe listing causes or Google's flags causes is the one that when your user actually clicks on the link that blocks the metrics from calling home to say, hey, I actually clicked on that link.
Yeah.
It'll say deceptive site ahead. Um,
Yes.
so what we can do with that one, that whenever you do that direct injection, that also automatically bypasses that. It makes that a
Okay.
friendly link. So you don't get that. And this is something that we're probably getting a little bit ahead, but even with the teachable moments, I don't even recommend usually even putting a teachable moment sometimes like a 404 error or 500 or just something like that. So your users don't even realize they were phished. And that way they don't tip Andrea off and she doesn't pass the phishing test because she knows and talks to everyone on the teams. So,
Okay.
but, all right. So before I get started with that, is there any other questions for me?
No, looking forward to checking this out.
Sweet. So I'm gonna only show you like one or two slides, really, just kind of show you kind of like the overall high level, and then I'm gonna jump right into our platform. Andrea, real quick, ProTap Trap is the products they have right now. Just make sure. No.
No,
Okay.
they're on Google and Sophos.
Okay. Awesome. So let me just go into here. All right. So one of the nice things about our program versus any of our competition is proof points. We're using all proof points threat intelligence. So one of the things here is our threat driven program. So what you get with that is all of we have a team here called Proofpoint Threat Intelligence Services or PTIS. They're kind of like our big brains that monitor all of our customers' gateways. They understand what's going on the threat landscape, and then they write different blog posts and rules and stuff to protect our customers. So we integrated with that team, and you don't need to have us at the gateway or anything that benefit from this because all of our content is in partnership with those users or with that team. So it's all produced in-house at Proofpoint. We don't have third-party vendors that create it and we license it from them. We all make it here. That also allows us to give you threat alerts, which are going to be kind of most wanted posters. I'll show you when we get in there about the latest, greatest. Um, and then we have what we call our adaptive learning framework, where all of our modules can adapt to either your user's role or their different learning levels. So that way you can make a really targeted, focused program if you want to. And then down below there, you have our streamlined and use mailbox. So are you currently using anything with the report any fish or anything with your team?
We are not.
Okay, so one of the benefits with us is you'll get with just the tool with just security awareness training alone, you'll get what we call our fish alarm button that goes in your Gmail client, both on mobile and on your user browser. That allows them to report anything that they see as suspicious. Now, Google does have a report fish button, but where this one's going to give you a leg up is whenever your user reports something, it's going to pass through our threat intelligence engine and it's going to tell you if that email is malicious, suspicious, bulk, spam, or low risk. So that really kind of helps you get ahead of that. Now, we also have an additional add-on to that called Threat Response Auto Pull, or we call it Trap. And what Trap will do is if that email does come back saying, "Hey, that is malicious," it'll find that email, quarantine it, so that no other users can respond to it, and then it'll respond back to that first user saying, "Hey, thanks so much for reporting that. Turns out that was a malicious email. Here's how we can here's how you can avoid receiving that type of email or what have you, whatever feedback you want them to receive."
Cool.
The next is going to be our visibility. So we're going to have really great reporting here. I'm not going to just talk about this one. I actually want to show it to you when we get a platform. So you have some really granular reporting. You can see what's going on with your end users. And then the next one, this is kind of what I was thinking about whenever you were talking about your merging with the other. I'm sorry, what was that? It was
Town
Pepsi
Park.
Town Parks.
Oh,
Thank
heart.
you. So whenever you merge with them, because our platform is what we call a multi-tenant solution. So if you were to merge with them, you could separate them out onto their own independent platform. So essentially, you'd both be licensed under one PSAT license, but you would also both have your own separate PSAT platforms. So you wouldn't get user confusion. You wouldn't be able to have any overlap or anything like that. So it makes it really nice and separated. We also have a managed service team that can help you run your program no matter which way you run it, whether it's with them or if you go through and just want to have your own independent program, they will come and partner with you, find out what goals you have with your awareness program, send the fish, send the training, pull the reports, send the feedback emails and whatnot. So, um, any questions? I know I just threw a ton of information at you. Do you have any questions on anything I covered?
No.
Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna just jump my platform part. It might have logged me out while I was talking. If it did, I'll be. Oh, it didn't. Oh, okay. So let me just back out one screen here. All right, so what you're seeing here is our security education platform. So this is going to be the hub of everything you do when it comes to educating your end users. When you first come in, the first page you have is going to be our content library. That literally has every piece of content from phishing, modules, posters, badges, stickers, you name it, it's all right here for you. So all of our brand new content is going to be released right here. We release content pretty often, usually at least 5 modules a month, and usually a few threat alerts depending on what's going on the threat landscape and if there's anything particularly end user facing that we think your user should know about. We're also constantly updating our content based on, once again, whether that threat landscape, anything changes, like the way a threat actor is doing things, or maybe the content became out of date with a different learning style and it just kind of fell out of favor. So we'll be able to go through, update that content for you. Also, one of the benefits too is if we break it or there's something that's a mistake and you catch it, you can just send us a quick Teams message, or not Teams message, but a quick chat on via live chat via here, and we can get that information right in front of dev, and they have a really quick turnaround for fixing typos or any issues with the modules. Now here are those threat alerts I was talking about. Like, so if I pop these up, these are going to be really end user facing threats. We kind of give a quick breakdown of how the threat is carried out, what an end user really kind of needs to look out for, like just the kind of bottom line up front and center type deals. Then one thing you'll see down below here, and this is something you're going to see as throughout the platform as I showed to you, we never want to ever present you with content and don't give you and never give you recommendations on how to properly leverage it or use it. So down here you'll have our suggested training and then the suggested phishing simulation to accompany this if you wanted to push this out to your end users.
Cool.
Now down here is our adaptive learning. So this is where we take all of those modules, break them out into different learning levels, or not, well, different learning levels and also different types of topics and categories. So like I said, it's like, I think 625 modules we're up to now. So this is our first step at really kind of helping you locate the modules.
So,
Go ahead.
is a module like the equivalent of a campaign?
A module is a training module, so like a 2 to 3 minute or 10 minute or
Okay.
15 minute education piece.
Okay.
So what we do with that, and one of the reasons we have it so short, is we try and chunk it out, especially with the basic ones, so that it's quick, distilled down just to the topics that user needs, so they can get back to their day, and also we don't lose their attention that way. Especially if your users don't have a lot of access to a lot of privileges and they're not highly technical, you can assign them one of these basic modules where we're not going to go into like super technical terminology. We're just going to explain user social engineering, how a fish works real quick, and what you need to look out for. Where on the other side of the coin, if you go all the way down to like advanced modules, that's where we're going to start talking about things like DKIM and DMARC a little bit more. Not overly technical, but you might get us to mention that term. So terms that normally make an end user that's not technical kind of eyes glaze over and think this module is not for me as well. That we
Hmm.
try to avoid in the basic, where in the advanced, we try and keep our attention. But folks like everyone on this call, where we know the hover over link, we know what email headers are, so we're going to try and give you something to hold your attention as well.
If a module is assigned to someone,
Mhm.
and say they don't, go over the module,
Yeah.
do they get re-alerted? And can I get someone on my team to be alerted that they haven't done the module?
You can, so you can have them, yeah, you can, we call them reminders. I call it Nagware internally.
Hmm.
You can set up as many as you want to go out. And not only
Okay.
that, you can either CC, BCC, or just send a list to that user's manager so you don't have to play teachers, like the teacher and hunt those students down. Like let the
Okay.
managers do that for you. And that also helps get that whole buy-in at every level. So if that user is hearing from their manager that you need to take security awareness training, that telegraphs that that's serious at all levels.
Okay.
All right, so let's go over one more or two more tabs here real quick. So we have our curriculums here. So this is where we correlate that content or curate, I should say, into one lesson plan for you. So this is either month long or so I should say quarterly or yearly long training plans right here. So either you have your year long one, which is each month you have one small activity. It's either one or two modules, a poster, maybe even just a quick video. Sometimes there's just even a newsletter. Then down here would be like a foundation curriculum that's done out throughout the year. And then if you really want to train your more technical folks, you have like a NIST aligned curriculum that's going to teach them about social engineering, insider threats, what advanced persistent threats are, things of that nature. Now, excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. Now, what we have here too, like I said, we never want to give you content and not give you some way to leverage or understand how to use it. So this is example of that too, with one of these curriculums where you have a PDF is essentially your teacher's manual that walks you through how to leverage this content, when to send the training, what messaging around the content is, how to answer certain questions from users. That's all going to be listed here for you. All right, and then one more, well, two more tabs on this page. So this is where we have our campaign. So like curriculums, where that's a month long or quarterly or year. This is a month long or a week or two long campaigns around specific threats or like cybersecurity awareness month. So if you wanted to get out ahead of political phishing scams, we have a full training here that's going to give you pre-launch communications and how to explain these to your users and why it's important they should pay attention, an awareness flyer, a training video, simulated fish, so on. So once again, full campaign plan, but not as long and drawn out throughout the whole year, just really quick and to the point. These are great, especially if you notice a specific set of end users getting targeted with something. So maybe like finance is getting a lot of DocuSign phishing scams or DHL shipping notifications. You can make sure to send them just a certain block of training modules that way. And then our content has a wide variety of different styles too. So depending on what your users like or what type of training you want to send them. So all over the place, whether we have more of our corporate style ones, even though this one's a little bit silly, or you have just more animated, short to the point. Security Tonight. This is Tammy Bogdanovich, where she does like a late night talk show host, where she kind of ties it back to real world things. They're short, funny, and to the point, and gives your users everything they need. So just a wide variety of content, so you can make sure it matches what your users like. Now, with this, there is two levels of customization within our modules themselves. So we have a series of modules that you can do some self customization with. There's about 120 of those currently, where you can just go do some slight tweaks to text. You can go through, add your own images, things like that. We also have what we call our customization service available to you. So what customization services is, excuse me, on the wrong tab. So if I go over here, we have over 284 modules. So what you do is you have an option of purchasing as many packages as you want, but there's three different packages you can choose from. Package one does just basic branding and color changes. Package two will put new images in. So if we want to put pictures of your workers instead of someone in a suit and tie, we can insert that image for you. If you wanted us to change the text in there to more use your corporate culture and language that you'd use locally, we could do that as well. So that's all available for you through this customization. And then package 3, we do custom voiceover work, animation style, kind of more intense work that would be outside of that typical scope. So any questions about our content strategy so far?
Sorry. No, I'm good.
All right. So one other thing too, when it comes to customization, so you can send out notifications. Those can be customized any way you want. So you can put your branding in, your own, excuse me, your own language and whatnot. That's also going to hold true for our fishing simulations, which I'll show you here in a second. So we host the fishing sims in 2 different areas. So we just started moving these over to our content library as well as where I'll show you in a second. But one of the reasons we only have one file type here, but we're going to have our other simulation types moving over because what we've done recently is aligned our fishing simulations with not only what we call our average failure rate, which is how often users fall for a template across or this particular template across Proofpoint's user base, but you'll also start seeing us add these things like advanced level or beginner. So what we're doing with that is we're taking data from not only that average failure rate, but what NIST calls their fish scale, which is just a really bad pun. But other than being a bad pun, it's looking at things like, does it use misspellings? Does it use real world branding? Things like that to kind of show you how difficult that fish is. So we're using ML and AI to help build those learning levels for you. Now, when I come over here, I'm going to go over to campaign overview. Oops. And the first thing you'll see is a high level of your previous campaigns. So you can see how your users have been doing, if they're constantly clicking on those simulated fish, if they're giving up credentials, if they're doing the right thing and reporting fish using that fish alarm button you deployed. But first, what I'm going to do here is go up to create a campaign. And then from there, we have 5 different styles of fish I can send out from here. I can do a drive-by fish, simulates a malicious URL, data entry, which takes your user to a login page where we prompt them to enter their credentials. 2 different types of attachments, even USB campaigns. So if you want to drop sticks and see so you don't have to plug one in, you can do that as well. I catch a lot of salespeople doing that at our sales conferences. So, Andrew, don't tell anyone I did that. Now over here under drive-by, now what you can do is with all of these drive-by campaigns or any of our other ones, you can not only make these malicious URL ones, you can also turn them into QR code campaigns as well. So you can really test your users with that. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call this one just test. And then down below here, I'm going to go down and just add a few different templates. Now you can sort by whatever category, that average failure rate, or whatever information is relevant to you here. So down here, I added a few different templates. Now, what I can do with these is I can go through and edit anything I want about these templates. So I can change who it's coming from. I can spoof your domain if I wanted. I can even go into the message body here and make any edits I want about this fish. Now, what's nice about this, like I said, you can make these more local to your branding. You can use like your type of order number. You can address it or sign, put signatures from your boss, or you can add or remove QR codes. So really, excuse me, this cold's kicking my butt today. But you can really, it's really flexible depending on what you want to do with these fishing tools. So any questions so far on fish? I know that was one of the things we kind of talked about, so I want to make sure I answer any questions you have here.
No, that's very cool. Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, and you can even do that with this one's not demonstrating it, but let me go back out real quick here. So say I went in and I did a data entry campaign here. I wonder if we have any Hawaii campaigns. I want to say we did have like, we might not. All right. But anyhow, so I'm going to go in and hit edit. So not only can you change that message body here, so it's whatever email you want, but if you get to the landing page, you can change it to your login page if you wanted to. So if I wanted to simulate Proofpoint one, would have the Proofpoint splash page. Nintendo Americas, for example, is hilarious. It has Mario jumping across the screen. So you can even put that on if you wanted.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun ones.
And I will
Like
share a
what, like
quick, sorry, go ahead.
one example I would have is like, how I said there were, templates that wouldn't pertain to us, right? So
Mhm.
like, a lot of times there's banking type, phishing campaigns, right? And, I think Noble Four was big on using maybe either Citibank or Chase. But the thing
Yeah.
is, not sure if you guys know, but on the Hawaiian Islands, the mainland banks aren't here, right? So no one here banks with Citibank or Chase, right?
Mhm.
So if I was able to put like the splash page of like Bank of Hawaii or like, First Hawaiian Bank, that's a lot more believable right off the bat.
Yeah. And you're allowed to do that on any one of these you want to. Oh, this is a really bad example, but if any of our fish, like say it was like, I think we do have like a chase or a city, or I'm pretty sure we have, yeah. So if you wanted to go through, add this one in here and edit and add anything you wanted to, you're able to go through, take that logo out and then drop your logo in. So that
Okay.
way it fits more like you. But I'll also put a request because we do a lot of business in islands. So I want to make sure that, let me talk to them and see if we can get some templates added. Because really what we're doing is we're catching a lot of the bulk of the fish that we're seeing. So of course, and putting them on the platform. So we're seeing a lot of stuff from the mainland, obviously getting on that because large
Yeah.
representation. So let
Yeah.
me talk to our fishing sim guy because he owes me money anyhow and see what we can do about that.
Okay.
Yeah, he's actually one of my best friends, so I'm not lying when I say he owes me money.
Hmm.
Now, down here is I added a few different fish to this campaign. So what's cool about that is when I launch this campaign out, we're all going to get a different fishing simulation sent out to us. So I might get the login verification code. You might get that Chase Bank. I might get the charter inquiry. That way, it really helps keep us on our toes, and we can't really tip each other off when these campaigns launch. Um, and then down here, we're going to have whatever groups we want. So we're going to be able to sync with your Active Directory, Azure, Okta, anything that supports skim provisioning, and then automatically bring your users onto the platform and then automatically remove them and then also put them in by different groups. So whether they're finance, shipping, what have you, you could put in the specific role, whatever location they're in, and then fish them specifically based on what they may encounter in that role.
Well, would there be any problems with if I was used by if let me how to put this if we had two 80 domains?
Not at all. No, you can have
Okay.
20. You can have two
Okay.
octets, three, one pings. It doesn't matter as long as you keep your properties matching.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean by keeping your properties matching?
So typically, whenever you set your platform up and you're doing these syncs, you're going to want to decide which properties are going to be relevant to group your users by. So, like when I run over here, I have 80 group, agency, department, district, what have you. So, as long as these headers are the same across all organizations, when you do that sync, you'll be fine. Now, it doesn't have to be the same across AD, it just has to appear here. So, if you call department agency, for example, I don't know what else you'd call it, at another location or an AD, you could transform it to match the department on here. So that's all I meant for
Okay.
that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And
Okay.
if one domain doesn't use one of them, you can just leave it blank.
You can leave it blank. Exactly. It's not going to do anything. The only reason is if you don't want those competing and then overwriting each other whenever you do your syncs. That's the only reason you want them
Okay.
to match.
Okay.
And that's not going to be an issue for, say, something like that multi-tenant solution that I was talking about. And I'll show you
Okay.
how easy that is to set up after we're done with the finishing here.
And just to give you a heads up, I have another 15-20 minutes max today.
Okay.
So just wanted to give you that heads up.
Cool. So I'm actually almost done with fishing. So
Okay.
I'll give you 5 more minutes of fishing. I'm gonna jump to multi-tenancy and then we'll turn it over to next steps.
Okay.
Maybe we'll even get out under that. So next thing here is going to be our teachable moment and then our auto enrollment training. So what this is going to do, you have your first stab at your educating your user. They click the link, it pops up, lets them know they did something wrong. And then down here it is going to be that follow-up email. So saying, hey, you did something wrong, you click that link, here's a quick 5 minute module about what to look out for. So these are completely customizable. So I've had people put their CISO wagging his finger at their users for clicking on this. I've had people put their people dancing around on it. This is also where I said you can also put a 400 for a 4 or 500 page, whatever you want there to make sure your users don't tip each other off when these campaigns go live. Um, Now, then, like I said too, you can also set up periodic reminders and nudge those users to say, hey, that training we sent you 5 days ago, it's still due. You have 10 days left. And you can set up as many different reminders as you want to go out, all with different escalating emails if you wanted to. And then finally, real quick, we just have to schedule these campaigns. We send them all out at once, or I can randomly send them. So not only are we getting different emails sent out, we're also getting different email or getting fish sent out different times a day. So it really helps keep your users on their toes.
Um, so the thing that you just talked about previously, where you can customize the page that they get to, you said you can have like your CIS or wagging his finger or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, is that page customizable for to each group, if you will?
Yeah, so there you'll probably so on that one you could have they would just have to come in. You'd say like, "This is yours," and then this is town. I keep forgetting her name. Town
Sound
Park.
part.
Town Park. Yeah,
Yeah.
there. And then you just say have Town Park teachable moment, and then elite
Okay.
on there. So you have two of them.
Okay. Awesome. And I keep asking these questions because
We're fine.
the difference between last week and this week is the potential to merge our account with Town Park,
Mhm.
which definitely makes it a lot more complicated, but I think with the total number of users, it'll benefit both sides of the
Oh,
company.
definitely. Yeah, so and this is what I was talking about that multi-tenancy part. So what you can do, and I'll show you how I already have it set up and divided online. So let me actually see if I can destroy all my tenants real quick. Delete my tenants. I just want to kind of show you how quick and easy this is. So say you have both your ADs syncs up and running right now. You get them connected. You're logically on one platform. All you have to do is go under user management, go up to settings, then go to tenants. From there, you just choose what property you would like to sort it based on. So you can have, if you had a property that sorted your users by theirs, you could do that. But most companies just already done that, and that's by domain. So all you have to do is come up here, choose which property you want. In this case, I'm choosing. I probably just scroll past it. It's because I already used another one. But for our sake here, I'll just use manager email address. Hit confirm, and then it will automatically split and give me a bunch of different platforms for all my users. So as you can see there, how quickly it did it. It gave me 470 on this one, 880 on that one. And then what I can do is empower its power a tenant admin to run this whole program independently of me. Now I still have a view into it. I can still send training, push training globally, but this admin here wouldn't be able to see any other tenants. They would only be able to send fish, training, and pull reports for their tenants only. So that kind of protects your users' privacy as well. And then even if you didn't break it up into multi-tenants, you can also easily separate that information out via reporting. So, all right. So I know you're conscious of time. I'm going to stop here, and just turn it over to Andrew and yourself for next steps.
Thank you, Doug.
Not a problem.
Um, okay, so let's just start with what do you think of what you've seen today?
Oh, I love what I've seen so far. Um, I really like the customization, the ability to really manage two different companies kind of seamlessly. Um, to give you uh a big review of where we are now, things kind of changed since our last weekend,
Well, I'm
and
sorry,
I'm just 100% transparent. But
well,
can you hear
you're
me?
cutting in and out. You're cutting in and out. I'm catching every other word. I don't, is that just me or Doug? Doug, what do you hear?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
sorry.
kind
Can you
of
hear
moving
me?
out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you
Okay,
now.
yes, yes,
Okay,
that's
sorry.
better.
Yeah, I just walked into a dead zone in my place. Um, so just wanted to give you a heads up of what's changed since last we spoke. Um, and it's all, I think, in the grand scheme of things, good things, right? But just want to be transparent about where we are also, right? So last week I told you I can make a decision for elite parking, at any time. But I think in the long term, if we had the ability to merge with Town Park and do this together, it's better for everyone involved, right? A much bigger user base, helps us, helps you guys, helps Town Park, right? And just to explain to everyone else on the call, Andrew, you already know this. Town Park, so Elite is the biggest parking company in Hawaii. Town Park is arguably first or second biggest on the entire mainland USA. So, way more users. I spoke with my counterpart there and also our CTO, and they use Noble for right now, and they are 100% on board with us merging our security training efforts with them, right? In fact, they asked if one of their caveats was if I would be willing to lead the efforts. So, if my counterpart there doesn't want to do it anymore. And he said, if I
Uh,
want to merge with them, I take on this project. It's kind of like our thing of throwing things back and forth, right? So that makes the decision making a little bit easier as well. I mean, they're going to have a lot of say as well, but I spoke to them briefly about, proof point in our conversation, and they definitely want to hear more, right? And so the transparent part here is this: their contract with KnowBe4 is up until January 2025. So we're about 6, 7 months away from it
mhm.
expiring. And that's just being me putting it out there, just being 100% transparent, right? Um, so I don't know what the next step would be at this point, whether it's Elite comes on board first with our, whatever, 300 users, and then we onboard and upgrade the plan to the 1,000 plus after that, or do we wait the 6, 7 months and kind of plan out our steps along the way before we move forward, right? But before we even get to that conversation, I really like what I saw today and what I heard. Um, I know for a fact that right now Town Park has I think it's called the Platinum Package or something like that from Noble Four. And you guys might have, competitor analysis, stats and whatnot. But the plan that they currently have, uh, yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it's either $18 or $20 per user per month. So you know how Andrew, how we talked about initially, let's go with the basic plan. That will probably change now because Town Park is willing to to
Mm,
bump it up
see.
because they're already at the $18 to $20 level per user. So they have all the bells and whistles. They have all the training modules. They have all like whatever Noble 4 offers. It's the top of the line package. Um, is there a way where I like A, do you guys know what package that would be? And B, is there a way I could get kind of like a competitive analysis between what you offer and what they would offer in the same price point?
Yes. Well, yes, the short answer is yes. But and I appreciate you sharing all this information and talking through it logically. So I guess the first and foremost question for me is, do you want to be operating or governing for both Town Park and Elite?
Um, that's a loaded question. I mean, I would say most people would say no, only because
Right.
because it's I think in my experience with dealing with security training, it's a I don't want to say it's a losing battle, but it's something that
Mhm.
no one really wants to deal with, right? Because
Yes.
you're the guy that's setting up other people. Like you want them not to fail, but it's bringing up who's going to fail, right? And it's like it's
Yes.
almost like you're the bad guy, right?
Go off the
Yeah.
But
cybersecurity police a little bit.
yeah, but um, for me, selfishly, uh, selfishly on a professional level, uh, I I I will probably take this on only because our CTO has already heard about this kind of collaborative effort, and again, professionally for me, it will help me out. So
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, I mean, the downside is this is a lot of extra work. It's going to be, quite frankly, a pain in the butt for you to have to chase down 3 to 4 thousand users, right, on their
Yeah,
side. And
yeah,
we talked about how it's very different for you to talk to your elite parking people and say you need to do this versus
yeah,
them, right? There's that
yeah,
disconnect. However, if you take on this project, you get a lot of visibility with your CTO,
yes,
with the right, and Town Park is a huge company, so
yeah.
I think the professional benefits there is definitely there. It may outweigh the amount of work